Okay, so in this video, I feel like talking about the third house in astrology and what does the third house actually represent. So, firstly, the third house represents your younger semblance. Keyword on younger, because a lot of us, especially in the beginning, we get it confused. We think that the third house represents siblings in general or older siblings, but in actuality, the third house represents your younger siblings, cousins, and neighbors, people in your neighborhood. It could be neighbors that are like directly on the side of you. So, what the third house would show, and even the ninth house a bit, it would show how you would interact with those people or your relationship with them. Do you interact with them frequently? Do you fight or argue with them? Do you barely even have any? Are you ever even really around them? Questions like that, etc. The third house represents communication of all forms, but I want to put which emphasis on the types of communication that you see frequently nowadays that the third house represents. So for one, it represents telecommunications. So when someone calls you on the phone, texts you, etc., it shows how you deal or how you do those things on a daily basis. Do you like texting? Do you respond slowly, etc.? The third house represents media. So it could be journalism type of media. So if you want to see if someone becomes a journalist or has the capability of becoming one, the third house would show that it would have to be involved. Those news reporters, those television hosts, like Molly on ESPN, they fall under the third house. The third house represents writing. I notice a lot of people think that the fifth house represents writing, but no. The fifth house can only represent writing because writing becomes a form of self expression. But in actuality, the third house represents writing. So it could show your writing skills, or even if you go way back in the past to like the BC era, the AD era, those before Christ days, a lot of people communication forms back then were writing. So they would write on letters and even tablets, like the Inanna tablets. And even today, you still see people have to write, let's say, a letter. They have to do typewriting, they have to write stories for school, especially. So the third house is definitely relevant in today's society. When you're sending emails, how you send those emails, how frequently you do it, that falls under the third house. I see some people say that the ninth house represents publishing, but I don't see that. That being the case, the ninth house could only represent publishing because planets in the ninth house aspect the third house. So in actuality, the third house represents publishing. What do you see people do in the media field? Even back in the days when people used to use newspapers, mails, those things fall under the third house. So which one is more likely to do publishing, the third house or the ninth house? I mean, just use common sense. Most importantly, the third house represents communication on social media. This is very important because communication on social media is an important aspect in everybody's lives nowadays. So the types of communication on social media that falls under the third house would be blogging, vlogging, making a YouTube video. It could be you making a Facebook post, making an Instagram story, just simply you uploading anything onto a social media account, even a simple tweet. You remember magazines, making an article, either in real life or even online on social media. Those tabloid pages, yeah, those definitely fall under the third house. The third house is something that is very diverse, so you should look into it for yourself. Podcasting and radio falls under the third house. The third house represents short distance traveling, so it could be being at a train station, like in New York City. A lot of them have to take the train early in the mornings just to go to work. Another example of the types of short distance traveling that the turtles represents could be catching a bus, the public bus transportation system. It could just be you simply going outside for a walk, even for a hike. People in California and Arizona, they hike a lot. A short drive, bicycle ride, taking a stroll in your neighborhood. It could just be simply you walking in your park, even going to the local grocery store. So the short distance traveling tend to happen in your neighborhood, in your constituency that you live in, especially. But just short distance traveling in general. Whereas the ninth house long distance traveling would be taking an airplane, going on one of those cruise ship sailboats. But the third house types of traveling tends to be like 30 minutes, just something short. Things like Uber would fall under the third house. The third house also represents marketing, advertising, and sales. The third house represents grade school as well, from grade 1 to senior school, grade 1 to grade 12. These are all of the things that I discovered on my own through my own research and reading other people's chart, especially on Reddit. So if what I'm saying doesn't correlate to what anybody else is saying, well, I can't do anything about it. Now, if you see someone do saying these things, look and see who created the content first. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the turtles represents the Hans, and Mark Boney says that the turtles represents the neck, shoulders, and the arms. I know for sure it represents the Hans. The neck, I'm not too sure about it representing that because the second house represents the throat and the throat has a lot to do with the neck, so I'm not so sure about the neck part, but for sure the hands, no doubt. Anyways, follow me on the other apps. There will be more videos to come.